Hi, everyone. It's Kim Louise Morrison. Welcome back to The Empowered Life. Get present, find your joy, and master the confidence to go after your dreams. And today I am so grateful and honored to have Mary OMalley with us. So thank you for joining us today, Mary.
I'm thrilled to be here, Kim.
Awesome. So for those of you who have not met Mary yet, I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's an author, a speaker, a counselor in private practice in Kirkland, Washington. She's also the author of several books, numerous books, actually. I shouldn't even just say several. Several of those being What's in the Way is the Way, a practical guide for waking up to life. It's published by Sounds True, and the foreword is by Neil Donald Walsh. In another book, A Gift of Our Compulsions, a revolutionary approach to self-acceptance and healing. And that book has been endorsed by Eckhart Tolle. And also she has written Belonging to Life, The Journey of Awakening, also endorsed by Eckhart Tolle. And a really magical book, The Magical Forest of Aliveness, A Tale of Awakening. She has spoken and led workshops internationally and done many interviews and has her own bi-weekly radio show. Mary weaves over 3 decades of personal and spiritual exploration and teaching into all that she shares with the world. And you can find Mary at her website. What's your website, Mary?
MaryOMalley.com.
Awesome. I thought I had written it down and I wasn't sure that I had correctly. So I thought, I'd better have you confirm. So Mary, I asked you to come on because you have a really dynamic story that you share with folks. And I wanted you to be able to share that with our audience here on The Empowered Life. So could you tell us a little bit about Mary and her background?
Yes, the journey. I was gifted with something that most people would not think of as a gift. But it was great pain. I wouldn't have wished my childhood on anybody. And slowly and surely I withdrew, I froze, I was extremely shy, painfully shy when I was growing up. And then learned the art of taking drugs. When I went to college, I learned the art of alcohol, that could numb everything you were feeling because I was sitting on this ocean of pain inside of me. And then I really went for the food. And at one time I gained 97 pounds in a year, all trying to get away from what I was experiencing. And then was in, a mental hospital. And when that didn't work and all the other stuff hadn't worked, I tried suicide 3 times. And
I'm glad you weren't good at it.
I know. And
I'm really glad. Sorry.
I know. In fact, the last time I tried to kill myself, I was slitting my wrist in a windowless basement bedroom. And I could remember the extreme self-hate that I was even a failure at suicide. But just about a year and a half later, a yoga teacher came into my life. And he also taught jnana yoga, which is the art of working with the mind. And he was the first person that said to me, there's nothing that needs to be fixed inside of you. You are not broken. The way out of this depth of suffering you are experiencing is through the art of seeing your fear, seeing your self-judgment, actually relating to your great helplessness, hopelessness, and despair. And when I met Stephen Levine about a decade later, who has written many books on death and dying, but really he wrote about being alive, he had one of the most aware hearts on this planet. And he helped me open my heart again to every single part of me. And that's what it means to become a whole individual. Now, I'm still a work in progress, as we all are on this planet, but I've come a long, long, long way from that darkness where the only thing that made sense was to kill myself.
Wow, that's quite a story. Well, like I say, I'm so grateful that you found one thing that you weren't good at. So I wanted to ask you, given the title of our speaker series here, is, what is empowerment to you? Like, what does
Mm,
it mean to you?
great question, Kim. So most think empowerment is having power over. It's about manipulating life so that we
Mm-hmm.
can get what we want. And around eating, I wrote this in the book, The Gift of Our Compulsions, that the U.S. Surgeons General report in the United States said that for 98% of every pound that is lost is gained back plus some within a year and a half. And so it gives us this very important information that power over, it can help for a short period of time. But true empowerment is really discovering that we are addicted to struggle, that we live in a mind that always wants ourselves, especially ourselves, but our whole life to be better or different than what it is. And so we're always reaching for what we want and trying to get away from what we do want. And true empowerment is discovering how to unhook from that game of struggle in our head so we can make contact with what we deeply long for, more than the right size body or the perfect mate or the bigger house. What we long for is an intimate, alive connection with life right here, right now. And that's true empowerment.
Wow. And that's what I find is so many people, and it's funny you talk about not broken. My last speaker series was called You're Not Broken. And it was, the message was to get people to understand that they don't need fixing. And you just described that so beautifully. And, I want to go back to the piece about, it's within and everybody's looking without.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
when I fix this, I'll get it right.
Yeah.
And so many people that I talk to, they're out here and they're not paying, they're not present to their lives. And that's why I called it Get Present, is I found out almost 50% of the people that I checked in with, it was like 46.7%. They said that they're living their lives on autopilot.
Exactly.
So why do people do
Yes.
that?
Yes. We go back to when we were very little, and we were these innocent bundles of openness, of curiosity. And there was no past and future. In my in-person group, we had a little 5-month-old boy last week, and it was so wonderful to not only see how wide-eyed and bushy-tailed he was, but also how deeply he responded to our connection. We spent most of the 2 hours laughing. So did he. And so we all, I just invite your listeners to recognize that at one time they were a babe. And we were all raised by what I call unconscious giants, that if they were the same relative size to us, in my ceiling, it wouldn't even be a waistband. And so we needed connection even more than we needed food for survival. There's been many wonderful studies on this. And so we began to start being what we thought we should be in order to purchase this connection, because our parents had left life a long time ago. They may have loved us, but in their unconsciousness, they wounded us in so many ways. And I call this the sacred wound. Well, when we were young, we survived by staying as far away as we could from the sacred wound. We didn't have any skills of being with it. And most of us didn't have people like an amazing grandmother or fairy godmother that would come and meet us exactly where we are. And so that becomes our life. Our life becomes trying to be what we think we should be in order to purchase this connection. And it is heartache, and it is suffering, and it is in the art of discovering how, in very important skills, in a very safe way, how to come back. But our mind is afraid of it because when we were young, we survived by going away. But I like to say that all these bound up feelings. I like to call it bound up energy is really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, it always it is trying to get someplace, and that we think they're monsters inside of us. The monster of grief. Oh my goodness, if I went in bed with my grief, I will never stop crying. I've heard that so many times. And
Mm-hmm.
when you realize they're not monsters in you, there's just monsters in children costumes, or children in monsters costumes. And
Mm-hmm.
you can learn how to set all of this stuff that you have tried to stay busy, you have gone to your compulsions,
Mm-hmm.
you're always, you watch TV endlessly, you have endless to-do lists,
Mm-hmm.
are not present for
Yes.
yourself. And you can learn, you can relearn how to do that.
Okay. Here's the big question.
Hmm.
How do we relearn that?
That I like what one of my main mentors, Stephen Levine, said. It's the work of a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I think life had me write 4 different books, including a fairy tale that is one of the best ways to get an overview of this journey away from ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and this journey back to ourselves. And what I did in the What's in the Way is the Way, which I oftentimes tell people, yeah, you don't even need to read the book. Just live the title. What's in the way is the way. I started it with a metaphor that I think that really, I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. And just imagine the most beautiful meadow you could ever imagine. And if you are standing in that meadow and you look around, you realize everything flows in that meadow. The clouds flow through the sky, day flows into night, sound flows, light waves flow, birth and death, it all flows. And we were born into that meadow. We were at one with the creative flow of life. And then slowly, as we took on what Eckhart Tolle calls the mind-made me,
Mm-hmm.
we were growing up, our mind made a me. Ram Dass calls
Mm-hmm.
it the somebody inside of us. I call it the conditioned self. I also call it the storyteller, because that's the spokesperson for this conditioned self that secretly believes at its core it's not enough as it is. And
Yes.
so here you are in this meadow, and you are wide open like this baby the other day. And slowly and surely we start holding our breath. We start tightening our body, and we start becoming human doings rather than human beings. So the clouds in the sky, in this metaphor, come and they whirl and swirl, and they completely engulf us. The key, there's 2 keys to this metaphor. The first is you've never left the meadow. Everything you long for, everything you truly are, is to be found right here, right now. But we're always trying to get someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
But the other is that these clouds are your teachers, that it is not in trying to get rid of them. I had so much self-judgment. I once broke my own arm. I was drunk, and there was a 4-postered bed, and there was a duvet cover across the bottom board, and I just hit the bed because I was mad at myself, and I just kept on hitting it
Oh.
until I woke up the next morning because I passed out and I had a football for my arm. And so even those extreme states of fear, self-judgment, despair, hopelessness, not enoughness, anger, irritation, all of these states make up the cloud bank. And as long as you try to fix them, you are stuck in the cloud bank, because that's the nature of the cloud bank. But what
Mm-hmm.
I offer in everything that I offer is the ability to begin to use curiosity, beginning to be able to bring the light of your focused attention into the struggles inside of you. And when you learn that art, it is literally like the morning sun as it clears the fog off of the lake here, that your attention becomes a laser beam. And these very deep feelings, I mean, this extreme self-judgment. Slowly and surely,
Mm-hmm.
I got to know it. I learned through Stephen Levine how to relate to it rather than from it.
Yeah.
And slowly and surely, it lost its power over me, and it let go. I didn't need to let go of anything.
Mm-hmm.
It let go under the light of my accepting attention.
Oh, that's beautiful. What I got from what you were saying there too is, if you're truly living in a space of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
judgment can't live with that at the same
No,
time.
no, mm-mm. No. We are so much more than this struggling self. This struggling self is like one room in the basement of the most beautiful mansion you could ever imagine. And because we have trained that our empowerment or our peace or our joy will come when we get it together, when we make more money or we lose weight or change our mate into the more perfect mate,
Yeah.
that keeps us caught in this windowless bedroom in the basement. The only thing that is more powerful than that addiction to struggle is our ability to see it. Oh, I see you, judger, or
Yeah.
give it a nice name like Petunia, something like that, that allows you to relate to it rather than being lost in
Yeah.
its world.
So it's like acknowledging what is and not fighting.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's empowerment, true empowerment.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the work I do involves like being in the question, and instead of saying,
Yes.
I wonder, instead of like, oh, this is going on and I have to change it.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I wonder how I can,
Yeah.
transform this and
Yeah.
just be, again, I love that, the being curious.
Yes. Yeah.
Without the judgment.
Yeah. And I love to do a thing when I used to teach classes. I don't anymore. I have people, bring their finger up, and follow their finger. Just follow it. These are the 65,000 thoughts a day that make up the world of struggle, right? And then I invite them, as the finger is going around, to begin to notice something other than this finger. They focus on whatever is right in front of them.
Oh.
And that is beginning to lift your attention out of the stories. We just keep on believing if we just get our story together, then everything will be okay.
Yes.
But then I invite them to again follow the finger and then bring their attention to something other than the story. And when you do that, you begin to see there's something going on here other than our story about life. And you begin to become curious about the story, and you begin to follow it. You see, I'm not falling into it like I was before. I am just noticing. I am being present for what is going on inside of me, whether it's happening in my head, it's happening in my emotions, or it's happening in my body. And we do need to strengthen the muscle of our attention, because it just follows our thought wherever we go. And if thought says we're sad, we think we're sad. If thought says, oh, there's no hope, we think there's no hope. These just, I call in the book spells. And I like the word spells, because spells are something that is laid over the top of us. They're not true, and they can be lifted. And slowly and surely, you dispel the spells through the light of your accepting attention.
Wow. Through the light of your accepting attention. That's really, just the feeling of that when you say that. It was just like, just feel like an energetic shift. When you talk about it, it's like, because I spend a lot of today, and it's like rushing around like a crazy person, like I often do. And it's just like this, even this conversation is kind of making me go,
yes. We talk a lot about soft belly and long, slow out breaths in this work.
And I did want to talk to you, or I did want to ask you to talk about breath.
Oh my God, breath is one of the greatest gifts. Number one, here is a river of breath that has been moving through us since the moment we were born. And how many of those breaths have you been aware of? We are usually living in our head, riding on top of our bodies, and we have lost connection with this amazing field of wisdom and intelligence that is our body. And so breath is a good thing. You know, when we were doing this and you bring your attention out of it, it can be one of the most amazing sanctuaries that where you can ground your attention, because it's always changing. And here's an in-breath that, wow, it opens you and it lifts you, and then it turns. And then here's an out-breath, much different experience. When I learned the art of meditation, and I try not to use that word because, so many ideas about what it is.
Meditation. How about mindfulness?
Yes, but it's much more than even mindfulness. It's mindfulness and heartfulness. And so I call it a returning practice or a listening practice. And so here is breath. And for the first 10 years that I was meditating, I was a failure at meditation. I could not control my thoughts. You know, and I can remember the first long meditation retreat I went to, and I would open my eyes in the middle of the meditation period, and I knew everybody in that room had got it.
Yes.
I didn't, because I was
been there.
Yeah, still caught in my stories.
Yes.
But then Stephen said to me, if you sit for 1 hour and bring your attention back to your focus one time, that is time well spent. It just blew me away. And all of a sudden, it wasn't a contest to try to quiet my mind.
Yeah.
It was an invitation to pull my attention out of my mind and notice life as breath. But the more you do that, the more you get curious about what takes you away. And that's where you get to know this struggling storyteller in your head that you thought of was you, but is really, I mean, I need to say this. I am not knocking the mind. The mind is, oh my God, it only took 14 billion years for life to make this frontal lobe. But it's a wonderful tool for maneuvering through reality. But it's not reality. And as you strengthen that muscle, and your breath can open you when you're closed, you could work with it before a major meeting at work, and you're just all up here, and you can bring yourself down so life can flow through you. You can work with the long, slow out breath in the middle of the night when you can't get back to sleep. You know, you can rock your babe and rock with the rhythm of your breath. You know, the babe has been in your womb for 9 months, and it knows your heartbeat. It knows this rhythm, and we can keep on giving them this rhythm. Even when somebody dies, you can use breath then in amazing ways.
Wow. I had to write that down. The mind is a wonderful tool for maneuvering through reality, but it's not reality.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you want to know,
that's really profound,
how much suffering that is caused, just look at history.
Yeah.
Eckhart says we killed 203 of our fellow human beings in the 20th century in the name of oppression and war. That's what it's like to be caught in your mind, cut off from your main brain, which is your heart, and not living in your body that knows how to dance with the creative flow of life rather than trying to control it. I oftentimes say, control does not bring us what we long for. It may for short time, but connection does.
Well, I sure spent most of my life, and I'll confess I still do sometimes, trying to use control to change and get things right and produce a certain outcome.
Yep.
And when I stopped doing that, I'm a whole lot more happy and successful at whatever it is I'm trying to achieve.
I know. It's amazing because we have lost trust in the creative flow. We gave our mind a task it was never meant to do, and that be in charge of life. It's not in charge of life. And as I have learned how to relax into life, then life flows through me, and it's just effortless. And I still do get caught. I think, well, we're still in a body, we get caught. But whereas caughtness used to be 110% of me, now it is 10% of me. And when I start drifting back into this world of struggle, I invite people to become a tightness detective, because the tightening of the body that goes with the struggle in our mind can be like the wake-up bell. You know, it can show you that there's something in your world of struggle that is asking for your attention.
Our bodies are such brilliant communicators, aren't they?
Yes, brilliant. Yeah, and they are our home. They're our home, and yet most people are not at home. They are. They live here.
Yes.
In the head. Yeah.
Wow, that is so beautiful, Mary. I cannot believe how fast our time has gone. It's like Zoom, and so much sharing. So you have more to share by way of an actual really beautiful gift for the audience, and there's a link to it on this page. Tell us about that, Mary.
Oh, I think it was the CD, The Gift of Our Compulsions. And it is, remember, we can be compulsive about anything from, biting our fingernails to heroin to busyness. But it is learning that is in our compulsions. It can show you so clearly the game of struggle. In fact, your compulsions can become your benevolent teacher. So here I am, somebody that used to be very big. I mean, when you gain 97 pounds in a year, you're compulsive. And now I live in a body that's a normal size, and it's been the same size for decades now. And so few people get out of those kind of compulsions, and because we think we should control them. Yes. So this CD is an overview of the struggle, the game of struggle, and how to begin to unhook from it.
That's beautiful and so generous. Thank you so much for that. So as we wrap up, are there any parting words that you'd love to share?
Right now, together, one long, slow out breath. And you can couple it with the great sound of the heart and of letting go. Ah. Ah. It is scary for our mind to do this because it's been so used to being up here and being in control. But what I can tell you, having almost died being up here, and now I'm back in life, I am at home in life. It is the safest thing you will ever do.
You are at home in life. That is a beautiful, beautiful tribute to wrapping this up. Thank you so much for that. Mary, I'm very grateful for your time today. And so thank you. Thank you for your many, many words of wisdom during this short time. So thank you.
You are welcome. It was my joy.
Awesome. Okay, everyone, stay tuned for continuations of the Empowered Life speaker series. Wait for what's next, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.